Well, Luke, I'm kind of just excited because I live right over there, and the zoo's always been a big part of my life. Tell me about how you first got involved with the zoo.
I first got involved with the zoo. Well, I always came here with my family constantly when I was little every single summer. And so recently, about a year or two ago, I actually took up a job at the zoo as a birthday party manager. It was a really fun job, and so it was always just a place that I could always come to for opportunity. And so when I was deciding on my Eagle Scout project, this place came in mind first and foremost, and so that's sort of where my connection of the zoo comes in.
And how did, tell me how your pursuit of the Eagle Badge ended up getting 2 eagles paid for. Tell us a little bit about the fundraising, and better yet, how did you first find out about eagles maybe coming here?
So this started about a year in advance before, a year before construction even started. What ended up happening was that I was looking for something to do for my Eagle Scout, and so I looked around and there was many different small things, and I was wondering whether or not they were plausible. And a lot of people that I was asking to, a lot of my Scoutmasters, they said that these may be a little bit too small for it. And then I heard that they wanted to revamp the old eagle enclosure that they had justice in right over around where they are having their new hawk. And so when I mentioned that, they gave me another weird look, but it wasn't that it was too small. It was like, wow, this is the biggest Eagle Scout project we ever heard of. And so through that, we gone through a lot of talking, and eventually through the design process, we decided, hey, we have this great big space over here, so why not we just make our brand new enclosure? And that's where the design of the project came. Once I got it approved from the Eagle Council, what ended up happening was that Justice, the eagle that was here, he passed away and he died. So from that, luckily, the eagle was sent back to the government officials, and they found out that the eagle was taken care of very well, and he died of natural causes of age, and not because of any mistreatment. So they decided to give the zoo not 1, but 2 new eagles. I know that it was a bit of a hassle on the zoo side in order to try to get a male and a female, and so you can ask them more about details about that.
That's very cool.
Yes, and so through fundraising over the summer, I was able to collect the funds in order to finally get enough money to raise this, and then over the course of 2 to 3 days, we were able to construct this. About 24 people from the community all came around, and we were able to construct this thing in a matter of, I would say, about 6-8 hours, and it was a pretty big project. I'll take ownership of the project, but to say it's all my fault is a very big overstatement because of all the people who have supported the project and who have come and help out the day of the construction. I've had people who have come from New Jersey, and family and friends coming from all over just to help and see this be put up.
That is very cool. Now, I know you're 17 or 18?
I'm right now 18.
You're 18. So I always have faith in youth, but tell me a little bit about how you went about fundraising. When I heard about an amount that got raised by a teenager, I went, oh my God. So tell me a little bit about what was the amount and how did you go about that fundraising?
So if I recall correctly, the original price of the zoo, we were planning on doing it with wood. Obviously it's not wood anymore. The original price was $4,000, and when we decided to turn to a metal company, the price raised to $11,000. So what ended up happening is that I got a lot of help from my mother, who is a great fundraiser for the company that she works at. And from there, we reached out to a lot of different local businesses and a lot of people who tend to help out the zoo in times when they need donations. And through that, and through asking through donations around the community, I was able to raise the funds for $11,000.
Wow. Now that's pretty huge.
It indeed is. It was a very daunting task.
What was the coolest part about it?
Coolest part? The part that I just really loved about this whole process was when everyone just came together in order to do this, when they finally saw that, you know, someone in their community was becoming an Eagle Scout, and they saw that this was a really great opportunity to do something really helpful. And so it was just great to see when everyone just sort of came in and did what they could to help.
Takes a village, huh?
Yeah.
And I want to ask you a couple of questions about being an Eagle Scout. I'm zoomed in on the Eagle Scout there. Tell me a little bit about your badge and how did you go about earning it?
So the badge is a very, I would say, almost prestigious in a way, because almost any Boy Scout can get it, but I'm pretty sure it is calculated that almost only 2% of Boy Scouts ever make Eagle Scouts. And so that, I say, is a very prestigious task to go for, because Boy Scouts, they have to go through many, many years of scouting, like probably over 9-10 years just in scouting alone. They have to spend over almost 20 hours over in helping out in their communities and doing service projects for people around in the community. Other things, we have to go on many campouts, and that's where a lot of the fun comes in, and that's where a lot of what people want out of the Boy Scouts, and that's what they want, is the fun. And so when it comes down to it, some people, they come in for the great experience, and others come in just to try to reach that goal and try to reach that next level of becoming the Eagle Scouts.
Well, that's cool. So tell me where you're at in high school and what's up for the future for Luke.
Currently, I am a senior in high school, in West Springfield High School, I should mention. So I am on it's the last part of my journey in my high school career. I am looking to become an actor professionally, and so I'm going to college in Muhlenberg in Pennsylvania.
That's awesome. Anything we didn't ask you about the Eagle or this mission, this journey you've been on? You must feel very proud.
Yes, I do feel a lot of pride. It's interesting for an 18-year-old to feel pride, because I haven't really had this emotion before in myself, and so I feel proud that I can finally have something big that I can call my own.
Jack and Eva are pretty psyched. I'll ask you one more thing.
Yes.
Tell me when you first got involved at the zoo, like how old were you and what did you do? When you first started coming here?
When I first started coming here, I must have been in like my single digits when I was just a little kid, because they just dragged me here when I was very young, and then I started to like it, and I started to like visiting to the zoo, and so, you know, I came along willingly. And when I started working here, I was 16 at the time, working as the birthday party counselor, and so now I was 17 when I started this project, and now I'm 18 and able to stand here and call it my own, and yeah.
That's very cool.
That's the long and short of my journey here.
Well, thank you for sharing it with us. This is so cool.
Thank you very much.
So good morning. My name is Nathan Bazinet, and I have the honor of serving as president of the board for the zoo. And first I want to welcome all of you to you're our first visitors to the 125th anniversary year of the Zoo and Forest Park, our zoo. And volunteers are the backbone to your community zoo. Without their tireless work, much of what you see here today would not exist. Our buildings, activity areas, and of greatest importance, enclosures, stand here today because of the generosity of our community. Over the years, existing enclosures have been modified, expanded, and upgraded to meet the needs of our 170 animal residents, as determined by the strict rules and regulations upheld by the USDA and ZAA. And for those years, this space behind me stood in wait for the right time and the right idea to come forward. When Luke Duquette reached out with inquiry in completing his Eagle Scout project to benefit our zoo, that idea was, for lack of a better word, hatched. And we and we stand here today, the grateful recipients of his hard work and labor, both in time, talent, and securing treasure. So proudly unveiling our newest exhibit in this, our milestone 125th year. I would be remiss in not noting the significance of undertaking an Eagle Scout project to build an eagle enclosure, a project that I'm sure no other Eagle Scout has ever undertaken. The uniqueness of this accomplishment is tremendous and noteworthy alone, paralleled only to the impact that this new enclosure brings to our organization and our community, as families of all ages come to visit and learn about our national bird, the American bald eagle. On behalf of the board of the Forest Park Zoological Society, I extend my gratitude to Luke for his hours of volunteer work and volunteer leadership, to his family and friends for their support, and to the many, many donors from our community who stepped forward and made, through their generosity, brought this exhibit to life. I invite you to join me in welcoming Jack and Ava to their new home, to learn more about their journey to Springfield, and to appreciate and acknowledge with us that this was only made possible through the generosity of volunteers in our community, volunteers like Luke. Thank you for joining us for today's unveiling, and I now want to invite Sarah Titzo, our Executive Director, to say a few words.
Thank you, Nathan. So I have to add my thanks for the countless dedicated volunteers who contribute their time and talent to our zoo every day. Luke, your vision and your effort will stand the test of time. Countless people, maybe even your own children someday, will come here and see the fruits of your labor. So congratulations and thank you. I would also like to extend my deepest gratitude to the East Longmeadow Rotary Club for providing the funds to fly the eagles here from Alaska. Since they are non-flighted birds, they couldn't make the trip alone, they had to come on an airplane. It was a long, expensive trip, and without the Rotary Club's generosity, it might not have happened. In addition, Chicopee Savings Charitable Foundation and Broder Campbell Fence Company were integral partners in this exhibit, providing financial and in-kind support. Finally, I want to recognize our dear friend and longtime zoo volunteer, Bob Runquist, who passed away very suddenly last fall. Bob designed the interior of this exhibit and built much of what you see inside today. Our staff picked up where he left off, led here by Emily Bauer, our curator, using the very detailed and intricate plans that he left behind. Now on to our new friends. Jack and Eva arrived here at the zoo in November after a long, arduous 8-month application process with the federal government. Both had spent about 2 years at the Alaska Raptor Center, rehabilitating from injuries they had sustained in the wild. The rehabilitators there determined that, due to those injuries, neither would be re-released into the wild. Jack, the smaller of the two, is that him there, Emily? I think he's hiding in the roost box. He suffered a fractured left wingtip that required amputation, which prevents him from flying. He also sustained a broken leg that had healed before he made his way into the Alaska Rehab Center. Eva was hit by a car, sustaining a right wing injury that left her with missing primary feathers and permanent tendon damage. These injuries prevent her from maintaining flight, and thus, like Jack, she's unable to survive on her own in the wild. So now, these beautiful creatures, the very symbol of our nation, have found a safe, happy, permanent home here together at the Zoo and Forest Park. We are so excited to be able to share these magnificent eagles with the Western Massachusetts community. As you may know, the Zoo and Forest Park has shifted away from the traditional zoo model to focus on education, conservation, and rehabilitation. This exhibit is a perfect example of how we plan to meet this mission moving into the future. So today, in celebration of our 125th anniversary season, we officially welcome Jack and Eva to our zoo family. Thank you. And that's it.
Is there any hope that Jack and Eva might have children here at the zoo?
So it's a great question, Steve, but the answer is no.
Okay.
So it's part of the parameters of our license agreement with the government. We cannot allow them to breed. So if they were to produce an egg, which we have to check their roost box every day, if they are to produce an egg, we are required to remove it, replace it with a dummy egg, and destroy the egg and return it to the Eagle repository. Is that correct?
Yes.
So there will be no eagle babies.
And what's the reason for that?
Emily, do you want to talk to that?
All eagle breeding in the United States is done through the Federal Fish and Wildlife, and their outposts like us are not allowed to breed. It's pretty strictly controlled, and they want all of those babies to be under their care and not ours. So the hope is that the population will rejuvenate enough to be breeding on their own in the wild in a healthy, stable way. That's what I know.
Cool.
Any other questions about our new friends or the exhibit? Or thank you so much. Thanks everyone. As I said, all of your efforts really made this happen.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for your heads up.
My name is Dan Burak. I'm a member of the Rotary Club of East Long Meadow, and I've been on the board of the Forest Park Zoo for about 20 years and very active with the zoo. And when we heard that the club was always raising money and looking to support good projects in the area, when we had this opportunity to get these eagles, I thought it would be a great opportunity to see if the Rotary Club would be interested in helping support this new project that we were doing. And they were very receptive, and here we are today in front of the new exhibit, unveiling the new 2 bald eagles that we've received last November.
It's very cool. Now, there's so much good work that goes on, and from so many organizations. But why is the Rotary so involved philanthropically? What's the mission?
That's their mission. I mean, we are out there supporting both international projects, regional projects, and this sort of fit in with some of the local projects that we were looking to support that is beneficial. I mean, the zoo is all about education these days, and what better way to support something that the kids in the area, and it's not just the Springfield Zoo, it's a regional zoo. All of Western Mass and Northern Connecticut is our primary market.
I grew up right over there, 1 block in from the park, or 2 blocks. Now I moved 1 block closer. So the zoo's been a big part of my life. But over your 20 years, there's been such a shift in what Sarah and everyone's doing here into rehabilitation instead of going out to some far-flung place in the world. Our philanthropy is local and our animals are local.
Right.
Do you want to speak to how you've seen the zoo change over your 20 years?
Well, like you, I grew up 2 blocks the other way. I grew up on Florentine Gardens in Springfield, so the whole Forest Park was my grounds. I spent all my hours on weekends and afternoons. I had forts. We rode our bikes through here. At that time, the zoo was sprawled out over the old zoo, where we had the monkey house, and we had the bear, the polar bear, and we had all the other animals around the side of the hill. And it's changed over time. The size of the enclosures had to be expanded. The type of animals that you could really exhibit has changed, and so we started out with a wide variety of all types of different animals. We've got our kangaroos and our wallabies on one side. We've got our camels over here, and llamas and alpacas are over here. We've got monkeys, we've got the leopards, we've got about 157 different species of animals here at the zoo.